in the auditorium, is that going to have any impact in the function for the actual use of the stage and being able to put on performances? Is it going to have any impact on the program itself?
As far as we can tell, no, it won't have any impact. In fact, because it's going to be aligned to other theaters in the region, with respect to catwalks, we'll be able to do what everybody else is doing. But we were able to incorporate into the final cost of the building those projection systems as well. So we'll have a combination of both a projection system and a catwalk to be able to do some things over the house. Most stages don't have a catwalk over the stage, and so that was the one that was eliminated.
Ms. Russell? Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to tack onto that, do any of you know what the rationale was for including the 2 catwalks to begin with in the initial design? So I understand the rationale for taking it out, but I'm just curious what feedback we got that precipitated having 2 to begin with.
So, I mean, part of the theater design also involves not looking at just the catwalks, but also looking at all the overhead rigging that's being provided in the space. So we don't know exactly what the rationale was behind the educational specification. We ask ourselves that a lot on different things within that document. But we are providing, for example, one of the main reasons to have a catwalk over the stage is to allow for flexibility for adjustments of lights. Over the stage, we have an electrical batten, which means that one of the rails, if you look up over the stage, is actually motorized. So the staff or students will be able to drop that to the stage, make whatever adjustments they need to do to the lighting, and then raise that back. And then we're also looking at lights that will also have some remote control function so that you can do final adjustments when it's in the air. That helps negate part of the need for a catwalk when you're able to do those last minute adjustments. The only other conversation we had was, in the event that you want to do a show where you're dropping snow, for example, that's the benefit of having something like a catwalk system. The challenge with it, though, the auditorium has a very significant smoke evacuation system, and there's so much large ductwork in that space, we kept running into challenges actually being able to maintain that catwalk, which is why we went back and said, is there a different way that we can adjust the design of the stage, still give the functionality for the department, but allow us to actually make the building systems work?
We did speak extensively to Mr. Northrup about this, and he's aware and fine with the changes, specifically because of the electrical batten that drops and then the fine motor changes with the remote controls as well. And then that in combination with the extensive projection system, he's going to have a really state-of-the-art system.
Yes, Mr. Webb.
I have a quick question about the last photo that you had of the lobbyway coming into George Mason. Is that an envision of the actual interior of what it's going to possibly look like? And I'm thinking more the wall to the right with the picture and whatever there.
We've actually had a lot of conversation about this, and in the most recent iteration, there is not a picture. There's George Mason High School in the bold letters, and that's it for that wall. And we'll outfit it as we move forward with community input.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Not, we'll continue.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. We've prepared a couple things regarding schedules. So you've seen this graphic before from us, so just wanted to show you our red line just keeps moving to the right. So we're imminently ready to start building the new school. So groundbreaking on Friday, and we will have full mobilization on Monday. So in the Sunday series this weekend, we outlined what this summer looks like, both from our construction activities as well as the coordination that we'll be doing with Park and Recs for both the camp servicing, the 4th of July fireworks celebration, as well as the summer school program that will continue to proceed at George Mason. So over the summer, lots of excavation, putting up the fencing around the site, getting ready to dig the hole. It takes about 2 weeks for us to it'll look like not lots is going on that first 2 weeks. There's there's code required things that we have to do to establish the perimeter of the site so that we can actually start pulling out dirt. So you'll start seeing trailers showing up next week. So hopefully very exciting. And then lots of dirt coming out over the summer. Steel should start being stood up this fall. So around the September timeframe is when you'll start to actually see us come out of the hole. So this is the overall schedule, the same as what we've looked at before. And then did also want to highlight what happens over the summer in terms of our next approvals. So as was mentioned, we're in the final reviews and approvals for the construction documents. At the same time, we are in for all of our building permit approvals. So as everyone's aware, we received Phase 1A approval for site plan approval, which allows us to start all our mobilization activities and stay in the ground. To come out of the ground, we need that Phase 1B approval, and we are on track to receive that mid-July. We're finishing the documents right now, and we've had some good dialogue with the city to finalize the open issues that we had at the conclusion of Phase 1A. Phase 2 is focused on the trapezoid. So as you heard in the previous presentation, we are doing we've been doing some test fits of the trapezoid to determine how that space would actually lay out. How might it look with that different turnaround space for parent drop-off, and also looking at the implications of the Phase 1 versus Phase 2 with the developer. So our goal is to wrap up through the summer basically the study of what that trapezoid will be so that we can finalize those documents and go back in for approval this fall for that remaining phase. On the building permit side, our team is actually today and tomorrow is working on pulling together all the final documents to resubmit for building permit approval. So we received all our comments, we've responded to them, and now we're going back in with the resubmission so that we can receive the approval for the building permit. So that takes us through permits, and then our next big activity this summer. Oh, please.
Just a quick question about the trapezoid. I mean, it seems to me, well, I don't know, but we'd have some flexibility to figure out what reality looks like and then adjust, right? And it's not, is it gonna be the case that we know what the right configuration is the first time out of the gate, or would there be some chance to say, hey, let's try this? And because it's not as if there's a bunch of immovable stuff there where you couldn't learn from experience, or am I thinking unrealistically about how hard this is?
So the geometry is pretty limited on what we can actually accomplish in the space. So our site team has already done several test fits for the trapezoid without taking into consideration what the development impact might be from that Phase 2 carve out or with the turnaround loop. What we've done is done a study of the trapezoid to figure out the absolute number of maximum spaces that we can fit within the trapezoid to ensure that we get to the 400. As Bill had mentioned, part of that challenge with that trapezoid, originally it was focused on 187 spaces. We've now needed to add an additional 7 spaces that were lost from the restriping due to the Mary Ellen Henderson lot. So now the 187 plus the 7 is extremely tight. We're exactly there with some very creative spaces to make that trapezoid fit to get to the 400. So now we have the test fit that makes it work. And so now it's the what else do we do in terms of integration with the development neighbor. So there's not 20 different solutions of how we could implement that trapezoid. So I think will be concluded pretty quickly.
If I could add to that, the other kind of challenge that we have ahead of us is also making sure that Gilbane is able to finish that trapezoid. Right now, the schedule is for Gilbane to finish that trapezoid by August 2021, so that it's ready for the school year of fall 2021. So that is your first school year where you have a 100% fully complete site. We have some flexibility in the next few weeks, as they continue to kind of play a little bit with the geometry and the fit of the trapezoid. But in order to meet that August 2021 schedule, we have to submit for site plan review in the fall so that they then have time to buy out their packages as well.
So on to our final GMP. So we, between the design team and the building team, have a handoff of drawings that happen between us on June 21st. So that's next Friday. We will be out on the market probably 4 days later. So we're very eager to get the design documents out. So our on-site construction team is currently working on work scopes for all the remaining work that we'll be buying. We had reviewed at our last meeting, this is the work trades that are really focused on the exterior of the building, so masonry, windows, roofing, and then inside the building, all the interior trades. So it'll be purchasing the rest of the mechanical and electrical systems for the building, as well as all the drywall, painting, flooring, all those finished trades, as well as all the specialty systems. So the theater system, the food service equipment, all the athletic fields will also get purchased in this last package. So we will be on the street for about 3 weeks. We are getting a lot of feedback. The market is extremely busy right now. Actually, I had another project that had bids due this week, and we're having a lot of difficulty with coverage. So we're probably going to look at trying to expand the amount of time that we're on the market just to allow us to maximize the amount of bids that we receive. So we're already notifying bidders that this project is coming. Everybody's interested. It's just unfortunately a very busy time for the marketplace right now for bidding activity. Once we get our bids in, we have a couple weeks to do our analysis internally, as well as prepare our GMP documents that we'll prepare to and send to you. So I believe on August 8th is the day, August 5th is the day that you'll receive the full packet of our GMP. So similar to the process last time where we'll submit for review, have discussions, negotiations. There are 2 school board meetings planned for the review. So the 8/13 meeting, the 8/13 meeting is where you'll have first review of the GMP, be able to ask any questions either of us or of the owner representative team. The negotiations will be ongoing at that point, and then we'll be seeking final approval at the 8/22 meeting. And then at that point, executing within the following week. And then that will release the rest of our trades to start procuring all our materials.
Just as a reminder to the board, that 8/22 meeting is a special meeting for this purpose. So if you'd get it on your calendar now, that'd be great. It's a Thursday night.
Any questions that we can answer? Schedule, design, otherwise?
No?
All right, I would be remiss if I didn't thank our partner on the general government side, Wyatt Shields, who's here tonight. Thank you, Wyatt, for your support in helping us move through the permitting process and helping us move this project along. So,
All right, well, thank you very much. And thank you for Mr. Shields for coming out tonight. Next on the agenda, 8.03, our textbook adoption. Thank you for your patience.
so I'd like to welcome up Eric Duche.
Oh, wait, we need to approve.
sorry.
Sorry, let's go back. Wait, we need to approve, school board, we need to, yeah, you can come on up. Sorry, we need to approve the final building plan. Would someone please move to approve the final building plans for the high school?
Madam Chair, move the school board approve the final building plan for the new George Mason High School as presented by Gilbane, Stantec, and Quinn Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Litton. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Great. And now we'll move on to our textbook adoption.
All right. Again, I'd like to welcome Eric Duche from George Mason High School and Jeannie Seabridge from Central Office, who have been working diligently over the past several months on textbook adoption, specifically for social studies. This evening when you came in, hopefully you had a chance to see some of the books that are out here. These are for you to sort of look, feel, and touch if you're so inclined. But they do have a presentation that they'd like to share with you tonight. Textbook adoption obviously is something that's really important to us in the school division, but it's not nearly as important as it once was. And I'll sort of just set the stage and hopefully not steal too much of your thunder. But the reason that it's not as important as it has been in the past is that the textbook isn't the curriculum. It's not what we follow. We don't go chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. Instead, these textbooks serve as a resource for our kids and are supplementary in many ways to the multitude of resources that are out there. Jeannie will talk a little bit tonight, I think, about our relationship with the Library of Congress and primary source documents and the like. So while it's important that we do this textbook adoption, times are changing, and these are more materials and resources than they are actually textbooks. So, Madam Chair, if it's all right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Duche and Ms. Seabridge.
Thank you, Dr. Noonan. So yes, we are here to ask your approval on adopting these textbooks. The textbook process was followed based on the school board policy. We had a textbook committee that was formed for all of our levels, from elementary, middle school, and high school. You'll notice in the packet or the plan that was given to you, you might have looked at the committee members section and noticed that it was somewhat short for elementary and middle. The one reason being, like Mr. or Dr. Noonan mentioned, was